What if collaboration, not competition, was the real secret to wealth? Our next guest reveals how powerful connections and intentional partnerships can open doors you didn't even know existed, and how to build a network that multiplies your income, impact, and influence. Hi, and welcome to the You World Order Showcase podcast, where we feature life, health, transformational coaches, and spiritual entrepreneurs who are stepping up to be the change they seek in the world. I'm your host, Jill Hart, the Coach's Alchemist, on a mission to help coaches and entrepreneurs amplify their voice, monetize their mission, and get visible. If you're ready to start attracting premium clients without chasing algorithms or hunting people down like a banshee on a mission, head over to coachesalchemist.com and schedule your free client acquisition audit. It's the first step to building a business where your clients seek you out rather than you having to hunt them down. Today, we are chatting with Monique Alvarez. Monique is the founder of AMA Publishing and Network Like the Rich, where she helps visionaries turn their message into movements. Alongside her husband of 18 years, Monique has built a global business that generated millions in revenue and created opportunities for countless women around the world. She's the woman behind the best-selling collaborative book, Sacred Redesign, and her expertise in building authentic relationships and high-level collaborations has made her a sought-after mentor and leader. When she's not helping others grow their empire, you can find her making chocolate souffle for her two boys and savoring the richness of a life well designed. Hi, and welcome, Monique. It's so great to have you here. I've really been looking forward to this.
Me too, Jill. Thanks. I'm looking forward to our conversation. I know we're going to have fun.
Yeah, it is going to be fun. But I'm going to start us off with a big question that I'd like to ask everybody, which is, what's the most significant thing, in your opinion, as individuals we can do to make an impact on how the world is going?
The most significant thing we can do right now is to have hope.
Yes.
I can't claim to be a person who has light inside of me, who has vision, who has purpose, and then be hopeless. I'm okay if I'm the foolish optimist. I will be that for all of time. And that's the most important thing we can do right now.
It makes such an impact on how everything else around you happens. If you face the world like, today's a brand new opportunity for great things to happen to me, and you just let it out there, no matter what else is going on, this can still be a great day for you. And it more likely than not will turn out to be okay.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I found. You have a much better chance of having a good day if that's how you are starting out and that's the way you're approaching it.
Yeah, if you're planning for it. Let's
Yeah.
plan for the best.
Plan
And if
for
the
the
worst
best.
happens, we can ignore it
Exactly.
or find good things that have happened. So I know that you have a community network like the rich. I just love that name.
Thank you. It came to me out in the field. God gave me the name, so that's why it's so good.
Yeah, it seems like it. So tell me a little bit about it. What are you doing over there? How's it helping people? And
Yes.
what do the rich network like that, the rest of us
You
are
know,
missing on?
yeah, I'm so glad you asked this because most of the time people are like, "Ooh, what's network like the rich mean?" And sadly, what usually comes to people's mind is like, "Oh, are we being cutthroat? Are we just being so strategic and we're thinking about ourselves and no one else?" But this is the foundation of network like the rich, is to leave everyone better than you found them. And if you go through your day and you go through your business and your conversations and your interactions, and you have that as your intention and your foundation, I'm going to leave everyone better than I found them, then you're doing it right. That is the richness I'm talking about.
It- And let's talk about rich just for a moment. Because often when you say the word rich, people think money. But rich is so much richer of a word than just money. We are all wealthy. There's just not a human being who's having an experience in this realm that is not wealthy on some level. And it goes kind of back to what you were saying before about the um, having hope. They tied together so closely.
They do. One of the things that's easy for us to forget, and I'm an American, but I spent many years outside the US. I've lived in countries that have experienced war and dictatorships and all of the worst that poverty brings. And what I think Americans in particular forget, or from the developed, like the richest countries on earth, is we forget we literally have it all. Even when we think we don't, when the cafe is out of almond milk and we don't get our matcha almond latte, we are so incredibly rich. Most people have so much that they take for granted. We have electricity, we have running water, we have health, we have two arms, two legs, two ears, two eyes. We have this ability to think, to receive ideas, to communicate, to ask for help. The list is endless. And when we are willing to look at all of that, I mean, I remember one day I was in my own funk. I was in a foul mood. And I like paused. I was like, whoa, wait a second. And I went and sat in my own pantry. And I was like, just be grateful for what's sitting in your pantry. You have 50 pounds of beans, you have 100 pounds of coffee, you have pasta, you have lentils, you have all this. And sometimes we have to put ourselves in a little timeout and go, just even look at this one section of our life and go on a rant about how good it is, instead of constantly ranting about what isn't working or how something's wrong or how that person, yada, yada. It's like if we can flip that around, boom, we remember how rich we are and how many opportunities, and we create them. I can create a million opportunities for myself in this moment if I can get my head straight.
It's just looking for the things that are going right, and you'll find more things that are going right. If you focus on things that are going wrong, then everything around you is going to go wrong. And we can take this back to our bodies. For
Mm.
years, I was just like, I have to lose like whatever I feel like I have to lose,
Right.
which is always a lot because I'm getting older. My body's not in agreement with how I think it should be looking. But I've come to the point where I'm just like, it just looks like it looks. It's okay. I've got some parts that I'm really grateful for, and other parts, they serve their purpose.
Yes.
It's okay.
It's okay. I mean, this right here, I was actually just talking to my dad and husband yesterday, and I was like, there's these seasons of life or these situations that happen that help us to accept what is. And,
Mhm.
I love that we're always on this track of improving and getting better and making more money and being skinnier and being happier and being healthier and being all those things. But there is something to be said about being able to come to peace with things and just be like, I accept this exactly the way it is.
Yes. And I can be happy with it. I'm here for an experience, and that's what I'm getting. It's different.
Yes.
How fortunate are we to have this moment that's different?
I mean, we learn so much in the contrast. We learn so much when we're rubbing up against that edge and we're like, but I didn't want that. But what are gifts? What are ahas? What are insights that it's giving me? Even if it
Mhm.
wasn't, even if it's not what I would say I would want and choose in this moment, even with my wrestling match, what is it showing me?
Yeah. And all of life is that way. And and it kind of goes back to leaving people better than you found them, where when you show up expecting the best, it allows that other person to shine too, and to explore what's going right, instead of like getting into the doom scrolling and the because you can always find things
Oh,
that are going to tell you the end of the world is happening right now. We've already gone over the cliff, and it's it's miserable living in that. I know because I lived there for a long time, and I can look in my pantry and see the 50-pound bag of beans because we're from Idaho.
we got the same pantry, we got the same food storage system. Yeah, exactly.
But it doesn't matter to me anymore. It's like, if I had nothing, it's okay. I'll figure a way. Something will show up and it'll be novel. And that will be
Yes.
exciting too. It'll be a different adventure.
So true. So true.
It's just leaving the door open for that. I know that you've built global businesses and you have a powerful reputation. What role has collaboration played in that journey for you?
It's played a big role because when I started my business, I didn't ever think like, oh, you can do this. Like, you're going to do great. You can make it. I was more like clear that I couldn't do it if I didn't collaborate. So I was raised in a family full of entrepreneurs. Like, I could take you down Main Street and there's the lumberyard my grandpa built, and there's that person, that relative's business, and this one. But I didn't ever learn business because everyone in my family was busy running their business. And I was sort of the nice, pretty daughter who everyone just kind of patted on the head and was like, well, let's hope she marries well, right? So no one really expected anything of me. And when I was a straight A student, I was the good girl. I didn't rebel. I did what was asked of me. I made everyone happy. And I chose not to go to college. I chose not to get a degree. I chose not to get a corporate career. Instead, I went overseas. I left my small town in the middle of nowhere and I went to Myanmar when I was 18, 19 years old. And that blew my world wide open. And when I started my business, I didn't have the experience. I didn't have the education. I didn't have the relationships. I didn't have the know how. But what I learned from living overseas and being a volunteer in my 20s was that if I walked up to somebody and asked them for help or for directions, 9 times out of 10, they helped me. So when we started, I thought if I surround myself with a dozen people who know something about business, who are 20 or more years older than me, who have a track record and a bank account that shows they know what they're doing, I can learn this. I can be okay. And so that's what I did. From the get-go, the first thing I did is I put together a group of 12 people that I collaborated with. And it started off with me asking them, what can I do to grow your business? And I sought that out. And then they trusted me. And then this relationship and dynamic grew. But that is how I got started because I was, 32, 33 years old and didn't know anything and had no experience.
You got so much in terms of an education in practical terms. I, it's so much more important to have an experience like that to me than to go to college and waste time over there in there. Traveling is hugely important in the world. I was talking to my dad about I was raised mostly overseas as well when I was
Mhm.
young. And so I was talking to my dad and he was telling me about a gal that worked for him years ago who came to him and she was like, should I do this thing? And it was going overseas. And my dad's like, heck yeah, you're young, you don't have anything tying you down. You should definitely go over there at least for a year or two and just see how the other world lives, because the whole rest of the world does not live like the United States lives. It is
Woo!
way different, and every place you go is different. And they
Yes.
just like culture is something. And we have all these cultural sort of wars in the United States, but they're, they're silly.
Yes.
They don't have the history that other places have that create the way that they live their lives. And so she did go. She asked my dad if he would save her job so that when she came back, she had a job, and she did. And she did come back. And she was like, that was the best experience in my whole life. And it shaped the whole rest of her life. And we're talking about the same thing here with you and going to Myanmar. I always get that mixed up.
Yes.
But
To
it's but
me,
it's having these experiences that really enrich you and then give you the confidence to go to other people and say, "Hey, come let me work alongside you and see how you're doing this stuff and contribute." There was a I forget who said it. It was probably an investment person that you should take somebody who's really good at what you want to do, who's making a lot of money. You should go and buy them lunch. You pay for it, but you pick their brain. during the lunch. And that's great advice.
Definitely. That's what I did. I took someone different to breakfast, lunch, dinner, coffee, tea, and I learned from them. I listened to what they said. I noticed how they thought because people who have established themselves, they think in a particular way. People who have experienced success over the long term, they they plan and strategize differently. There's people who have this ability to go for like short-term goals, but then long game people, they're just different. They're built different. And that's exactly what I did. I bought time with them. And we know this when we're young. Our parents say it, we say it to our kids like your company matters, your friends and your circle is a reflection of you, and that's where you're going to end up. And that's exactly what I did. I knew where I wanted to end up, so I just spent as much time right next to them as I could.
Yeah. So let me ask you, what is the one thing, the biggest piece of advice you've gotten that you tried and didn't work?
Oh my gosh. I could boil it down to this: be someone you're not. Be
Yeah.
someone you're not. Be professional. Be serious. Be buttoned up. Basically, be someone that you're not, so that people take you seriously and they trust you, and yeah, that there was a lot of different angles on it, but that's basically what it was.
The whole fake it till you make it idea.
Yeah.
You just keep faking it.
Right.
Because
Exactly.
you'll never make it.
It's never going to end. And I think what that implies is that there's like a certain personality. There's a particular person who can be successful and no one else can. And that's what I've learned is like, oh, there's a million ways to do this. There's not one right. And that's what school teaches us. There's one right answer. And in business, that's not how it works.
It doesn't, you don't need to be told what success looks like either, because success can look different for everybody. I, and the whole fake it till you make it assumes that success only looks one way. It's the
Yes.
big mansion and the car. But
Right.
I've had big houses and I've had little houses. And let me tell you, I prefer a little house with a little bit of land with trees to a big
Yeah,
house that I'm a slave to.
that's just it. It's everybody desires different things, and different things make people happy. Like this morning I saw a post on social media, and this lady was talking about how she has 5 outfits and she rotates through them because she gets decision fatigue with clothing, and she has 5 dinners and she eats the same meals every 5 days. For her, that was relief, and that was, oh yes, this helps my life, and so I can focus on these other things. But for me, that would be awful. Like, shoot me now, life's not worth living if I'm eating, you know, chicken and carrots every meal. If I'm eating the same 5 meals because I love cooking and I love creating, I love going in the kitchen and just being like, what have I never made? But I have these 5 ingredients. What could I dream up? So it's like, what is a blessing and a joy and a relief to one person is a burden and a life sentence for another. And that's what we have to remember. It, like, across the board, that's how it is. We're all so incredibly unique in terms of what makes us tick.
And it's okay to be different and it's okay to change your mind. Like this, I have seasons where I have 7 or 8 pairs of overalls and I have about 10 turtleneck shirts.
Yep.
I decided this year I got some jewelry, so I'm going to add jewelry to my
Now
to my
she's
look.
now
But
she's
this
got the
is
bling in
me.
there. I love it.
I I can't be bothered with trying to figure out a wardrobe that feels good and looks good and is something that I'm not. I'm just not. Took me a long time to become a country girl. I'm a country girl. I like simple and easy. But when it comes to cooking, I'm with you. I'm just like, if I have to eat the same things over and over again, it's just like I'd rather not eat. I'm
Exactly.
just not doing it.
No, took all the fun out of it.
Yeah. And I like to cook like good food and food from like lots of different regions and ethnicities and experiment. And my husband could eat the same 5 meals. every day. He's good about it. He's getting better. Now that he's retired, he's like, okay, I'll try it.
Here we go. What did she come up with today?
Yeah, that's pretty much. I try to let him know in the morning so he can brace himself.
Right. He can mentally prepare.
He doesn't eat fish, and we go and visit my dad a couple times a year, and my dad loves fish, and he does not understand people not eating fish. And my husband will ask, "So what's for dinner?" And my dad will name some fish dish. And Jeff will say, "Oh," he'll make that face like, and I'll say, Dad, Jeff doesn't really eat fish. And my dad's like, he's shocked every single time.
Still, we haven't converted him. He hasn't changed his mind. I love it. He's optimistic about that.
He's totally hopeful.
Yeah.
If the man is nothing, he is hopeful. So we're gonna get him a shirt that says, "I still don't eat fish."
Yeah, there you go. Send the picture ahead of the visit.
Uh, it's okay though. It makes us laugh, and we're good with it. He can make himself a sandwich, macaroni and cheese or whatever.
There you go. He'll figure it out.
He'll figure it out. Life's too short to be stressed about some of these little things that just don't matter. So you guys have worked together, you and your husband, for a long time. What have you learned about blending love and business and leadership?
Mm. You know, for us, it felt very natural, and we have very different skill sets and very different personalities, and so we were kind of like the yin to the yang, you know. But in having conversations with so many other couples, it was like, oh no, we can never do that. I can't even be in the house with him for more than like 2 hours a day, and I need a job that I'm gone 12 hours a day. So it's kind of like what you said, however you grow up or whatever country you're born and raised in, like you think everyone does it that way. And I think looking back, the best thing that we did is I didn't tell Derek how to do his thing, and he didn't tell me how to do mine. It's like, I trust you with that. I don't know how to do it. I'm definitely not going to try to give you input on how you're going to do it. So we allowed each other to be the expert and like the leader of our own domain. And what he would tell you is like, I'm the boss of me and he's the boss of him. And that's what's really worked for us. And valuing each other, because we don't, there's not a lot of crossover. Like I don't have any expertise or skill sets in what he's good at, and vice versa. Like he'd never want to do the part I do. So in a practical sense, what I would say too is that there has to be times that you talk about business and times that you don't talk about business. This is like a business free zone. This is a business free day. We don't even crack open like this computer does not turn on, certain days of the week. It doesn't matter if a client's howling and we know that, the DMs are blowing up and there's 17 emails and you get to me right now. You have to be able, what we found is you have to be able to have space. You have to have dates. You have to have days off. You have to have time frames and things. And you have to have processes that keep it within a boundary, because business will just run everywhere. And I think kids are similar. When we had kids, we didn't experience the same challenges that we saw a lot of our peers experiencing, because we had the business to practice for 7 years before we had kids.
Mhm.
So even with the kids, it's like the kids didn't become our whole world. We didn't lose our marriage and each other when we had kids, which I see a lot of people doing. Like for me, the relationship with my husband is first to my relationship with my kids. And having that time and having these boundaries, and that's been the ticket for us.
I love that. Do you homeschool?
We did for a long time. Actually, my boys right now, they go to a very unique school. It's down in a canyon. It's like 30 minutes from where we live.
Mhm.
I call it the perfect boys school because they get to play outside most of the day. Yeah.
I like that.
These teachers are giving my son, the 7 times 7, as he runs around in a circle. And so it's been so good for them because they haven't been made to sit down and shut up because that it just wouldn't have worked well. In the next season, when we are into the next year after elementary school, we're going to go back to homeschooling. But for right now, it's kind of been, nice for them to experience both.
Yeah, I did something similar with my kids where, one of them wanted to go to, she really wanted to go to school. So she went to school for about a year and a half, and then they were getting into the weirdness that junior high is, and she came back home and we unschooled it. At this point, I was like, I never graded anything they did. I gave them assignments. We explored things they were interested in learning. Math was, I was really bad at math, so I didn't push the math. I
Mhm.
read somewhere that kids can learn everything they need to know to survive in the world in 2 years.
Mm.
And when they're teenagers, it's really kind of pointless to try to teach them stuff when they're really little because they don't have the framework for it. Their bodies are growing and their minds are developing, and they just need to run around and play and make believe. And if we would encourage children to do that and read to them, fantasy stories, whatever, and get them to read to us, teach them to read, but and make it fun. Learning should be something that people want to do. They desire the education. Then we stuck them in an alternative school when they were 13. And this is the school where the troubled kids go. So all the kids in this school were much older. They were just trying to get their credits and get out.
Mm.
But my kids thrived there. They made A's. They got out in 2.5 years with their little paper diploma that says, we're official, we're stamped by the state. But when we would talk about their schooling, because none of them were in the school at the same time, they're 3 years apart. So one would graduate and the next one would come along, and the teachers, there are 4 teachers there, and they love my kids because my kids were like, they wanted to learn, they wanted to suck the information out of them, and they understood it was a game, and there really aren't any consequences to this because you can always go back home. Mom will
Yeah.
make you a paper that says you graduated
That's right.
because she just doesn't care that much. It's not that I don't care about them, but I don't care about like squishing them into a box that doesn't benefit them, and it doesn't benefit the rest of the world. When we squish children down and say you have to, this is what you have to look like, and this is how you have to behave, then the blowback is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's true. You realize this looking back, you're like, oh yeah, that didn't actually play into how my life turned out. And I think there is a lot of pressure unnecessarily put on kids going through school. And this whole idea that they need to, be perfect in school and know what they're going to do for the rest of their life and all of this nonsense. It's like there's adults that haven't figured out what they're going to do for when they grow up. So it's like I don't quite know why we keep doing that, like you said, and squishing them in. But I think a lot more parents are opting out of it.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm excited about the generation of kids that grow up and they're like, work is not everything,
Oh yes.
and
Yes.
it's okay to be a minimalist.
Yes.
It's okay to be however you choose to be for however long you choose to be that way. It's like,
That's it. The other day I told one of my sons because he was like, "Mom, I don't know if I want to do this or that because I like animals." And I said, "Oh, honey, you'll probably do a lot of things. It's gonna feel like you have 20 lives in one." And he just looked at me and he was like, "Oh, that's true. I don't have to just pick one thing." It's like you could be a vet and you could be a YouTuber and you could, travel the world and you could be a chef. There's so many things you can do. You get to pick it, like you said, there's seasons and there's things to explore and try on and keep it on or don't. And continually reminding ourselves of that, like, oh, yeah, this is my life. I'm the governing voice of what happens here, not all this other out here. That's a constant reminder.
and for women especially, because I think so many of us were raised with the idea you have to find a good husband, and pretty much you're in charge of like living his life for him or part of his life for him, the part that he wants to share with you, and
Mhm.
you're just kind of the afterthought, rather than bringing all of you to a relationship and letting them have the experience of, this is who I'm growing to be, and allowing them to grow to be who they're going to grow to be too. This is like, there's so much magic in that. And
Oh yeah.
tell you, after 30 years, it's important. It's important that you remember who you are and that you continue to grow and change and adapt. Otherwise, your marriage is doomed.
Yeah, it's true. You'll feel like you're suffocating. You'll feel like you you're not living anymore. You're continuing to uphold a persona or a role or an identity that has made sense and is expected by others, but being able to swap those out and let them die and resurrect them, recreate them, that's what life really is. It can outpicture and show up in lots of ways, but it's being able to honor ourselves and seasons and just go, you know what, I can trust the next one, and this is who I want to be now.
Yeah, yeah, that's so beautiful. So let me ask you, I sort of know what you do, but why don't you share with the audience what, in your own words, what you do? I know you do the book thing, but I think you do other things too.
Yeah, I gather people. I love gathering people. Whether it's in my home, I have an 11-foot farm table. I love gathering people and having conversations, asking them questions, figuring out what makes them tick. What do you want now? Like I just right before I got on with you, I was in a call, and that's what I asked everybody. Have my notes here. What do you need right now to move things a step further in your business or mission? Yeah. And then I'll think about it. I'll go, oh, you know what? I know you need to meet Lisa. So I gather people and I'm a matchmaker. Oh, you and her, there we go. That's it. Oh yeah, go do. And that's essentially what I do. I create environments where people can articulate and communicate who they are, what they want, what they need. And then I just throw out ideas and I go, oh, yeah, that's it. That's it. Because one of the worst things about life and business is when we think if I was smart enough, I'd figure this out on my own. If I was really good at what I do, I could do it all by myself. This is where my time overseas really influenced me. Other cultures don't think that way at all. They're so multi-generational in one home. Um, Asians in particular are so team and group and community oriented. And then you come to America and it's me, myself, and I. And you got to pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. You got to figure it out. Don't ever ask for help. It's a weakness. Da, da. And growing up in a small town, to be honest, I think the reason I so lean into collaboration and gathering people and connecting people is because my family, they're a family of pioneers. They got here because they were the toughest SOBs in the lot. They survived all of the things, right?
Mhm.
And they built things with their own two hands. And in a small town, it's easy to just everyone sit on their own 100 acres and figure it out themselves. And I didn't like that feeling. I could appreciate what they did, but I didn't want to do that for myself. I didn't like that feeling. And so everything in my life and business, it's about bringing people together and saying that's an option. You can choose it, but it's not as fun and it's way harder. It takes longer, to tell you the truth. So that's what I do. I host networking events. I teach people how to communicate better so that when people say, hey, what can I do to help you? You actually have an answer that they can understand so that practical next steps happen. Because if we're not in the habit of asking people for help, we actually don't know how to do it very well. And most of us didn't see our parents model this. Most of us had parents that were like, if you want it done right, do it yourself. And so I bring in the other end of the spectrum.
Love that. Hey, I knew I felt an affinity for you all along. It's because we're kind of similar in a lot of ways, because that's what I do. It's just like I'm all about connecting people and shining the spotlight on them and saying, hey, this is what this person does and this is how they shine. And if you want to connect with them, this is how you do it.
That's it. Bingo.
And it's really important. People like to think that pioneers didn't ask for help, but a lot of those communities became communities because they did help each other. If you look at the Amish don't they live on big acreages, farms, but they help each other. They get together to do things and they have their weekly meetings, church meetings, and the pioneers around here did that too. And they had to work together to create the things that they needed to the infrastructure and you raise a barn or whatever and you helped each other. And you know yeah, they had around here they had some interesting ideas about what formed a family, but today we have some interesting ideas about what forms a family too.
So
And
true. So true.
we actually used to have polygamous families that lived around us.
Hmm.
And some of the wives would work in the local grocery store and at Casper's where my kids worked for a spell. And they're just like, they're normal people. They just have a different idea about how they're gonna arrange their family life. And it works for them. So who's to say that they're wrong? It's just like,
Yeah,
uh,
whatever works for you. What Derek often says is, I couldn't do that because I can barely keep up with one wife, so God bless the man who can handle four.
yeah. And sometimes women just want to be part of a community. They don't actually want a full-time husband.
Well, I've thought about that a lot. I think that dynamic that has been lost a lot in modern society of when women would raise children together and they'd cook together and they'd gather and have their own time together, which is still present in a lot of cultures, but not in ours. I think there is something to be said about that, and there's also, I think it highlights this ability of, how well can we get along? We need each other. I watch my cats. I have cats. Like I never had cats before. And so I've got like 3 cat moms out there and there's kittens and they all help each other. They all nurse each other's kittens. They all gather them and keep them from the dogs. They all do their thing. And yeah, there's elements that we really miss on that. Motherhood is very lonely in this country. I feel grateful that when my boys were little, we were in another country because I always felt supported by the group of
Yeah.
moms. And, I always had women around me helping me. So I never felt like, oh, I'm by myself. And, not to mention, Derek and I, we each had one in our arms because we had 2 and 12 months. So that was just kind of how it had to be. So yeah, there's, and this is what we said in the beginning, like there's elements you can learn from everyone. You can learn from every arrangement, every culture, every setup, every religion. You can learn something.
Mhm. And you don't have to be right. You can just be curious. I think that's
Wait,
the
what?
thing you can that's missing in our society so much is just the ability to be curious and to let whatever it is just unfold and not have to like drive it.
Don't have to drive it. You don't have to be offended by it. You don't. Yeah, I saw this reel the other day and it made me laugh. I was like, thank you. This lady said it perfectly. She was like, so I think we've forgotten something that my mom taught me is we have inside voices and we have outside voices. So there are some thoughts that you think that you don't have to say out loud. You don't have to put on social media. You can just have the thought, but you don't have to start a war over it. We've forgot that.
We don't have to live our whole life out loud.
Just let some things be. Just let it be.
And if it's really a problem for you, that's what block is for. If you
Right.
find people are constantly triggering you, it doesn't say anything about them, and they probably will never notice, and it might make their life better. Just block them, and then they're not tempted to say things that are gonna like cause you to have a reaction. And we all like to think that, we don't react to things, but there's stuff that just, it's like I hear it and it just sends a jolt through me. And I'm just like, and then the cortisol's going.
Right. We don't want that. We don't
We
need
don't want that.
it.
God forbid the cortisol starts going in our bodies.
You can almost feel it like, oh
Fatty.
God. All the fat cells are having a revival. Oh God, we've got to get out of here.
So true. So true. So Monique, how do people get in touch with you? How do you work with people? Like, how does
Yeah.
all that look?
So people can connect with me on Facebook. I'm there a lot, but they can go to networkliketherich.com and learn a slightly different angle. Yeah, a very different feeling of connecting and networking and figuring out, hey, could you help me and I could help you and we can make all this more fun and easy. So that's the best place.
Okay, perfect. So it's networkliketherich.com. And you have a Facebook group that's by the same name, correct?
I do.
And people can find you on Facebook there too.
Yes.
So I love that. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been an amazing conversation.
Thank you, Jill. Yeah, and like we've said, I think we have a lot of parallels, and I appreciate that you are sparking conversations, like you said, and you're highlighting people because if we had more actual conversations with people, we'd remember we have more in common. We're more alike than not. And we need to remember that right now.
Yes, we do. And we need to allow people to be who they're going to be and honor them for stepping up to be who they want to be. It's not there's no good and bad. There's only what is in our perception.
Right.
So to learn more about Monique and to learn how to network like the rich, please go visit networkliketherich.com. Thanks for tuning in today to the You World Order Showcase podcast. If you're ready to amplify your voice, monetize your mission, and start attracting premium clients, your next step is simple. Head to coachesalchemist.com and schedule your free client acquisition audit. Be sure to join us today for our next episode as we share what others are doing to raise the global frequency. And remember, change begins with you. You have all the power to change the world. Start today and get visible.